This is session 3, and welcome everyone to this session. Uh, Shreya and Sandhya will continue to take this session, and I will hand it over to both of them to take the session through.
Great. So, welcome everyone. Hope you had a good time coding the transcript that we shared. So we did get a brief chance to go through the transcript. Although we focused more on seeing how you coded it rather than looking at the codes itself. So I will share my screen. We will walk you through few of the do's and the don'ts that you have done in your done in the codes. Just give me a moment. Right. Can you all see my screen?
Yeah, Shreya, it's all visible.
Yes, we can. Yeah.
Okay. So first of all, Sandhya, please jump in where you have to, wherever you need to add something or you have to say something. So what we observed in most of the most of the codes that you have sent to us is many of you did not code each line like we suggested. Not that I'm pointing that unnecessarily you code each line if suppose 2 3 consecutive lines means the same, but many of you have actually left out coding those lines, like for example over here this is left out, this is left out. So why we are saying this is when you code, after you code this, you just have these labels and the codes with you. But you don't have a chance to look at the whole transcript again. So you need to have a holistic idea of what the person said, what it meant. The other thing is some of you have coded a whole a whole paragraph and have just assigned one code. So that might be a bit, that might be detrimental to, if I may use the word, to, understand what the narrative is speaking. In the first stage of coding, you are supposed to break it down and then assign codes to it. So, Sandhya, you may, if you have something to add to this, these were the first two major observations I had from the transcripts that I went through.
Yeah. So if you remember in the class, when we had done just this one paragraph, we had many things that we could get out from this first paragraph. So if you are going to code everything into one, then you will miss out the nuances that are there, which is why we are saying read each line, see in which category it can fall, and then after that, code. If we just pick up one whole paragraph and assign it a single code, it's a little lazy kind of coding where you're not really, trying to see if there is anything else that that paragraph is telling you. And then when you write up your report or your analysis, it will not be rich. The richness depends upon how well you are able to code it. Later on, you might actually collapse codes when you're doing themes and all of that. But at this stage, it is best to keep them separate. One example that I saw, and very few people did that, was around the support or the community. What do they think about the Asha? Now, in this one sentence, so somewhere lower down, you have, yeah, this one, no, there only, just go a little lower down, where, she talks about the families, and she said, mostly they welcome me, but sometimes elders interfere. For example, some mother-in-laws say we gave birth at home. Why do you force hospital delivery? So here in this one sentence, you have two things coming out. One is yes, there's support, but also there is some kind of opposition, or there is some kind of questioning, especially when you're trying to send women to institutions for delivery, which was not the norm earlier. But if you code this whole thing as just community, perceptions of Asha, without saying, supportive or something which is against, you will not be able to pick up this. And when you write it out, you might miss it. So it's better to have this in, keep the overall thing as, okay, community perception of Asha, positive and negative, that way. So that will help you look at the codes with greater detail, and greater nuances can come out. Over to you,
So
back to you.
there is no harm if you double code a line or a narrative or a code that the person is saying. I mean, when you're coding a transcript, all of it is a code in a way or the other. But like you can see in this example, it's very hard to understand why the person left out the example bit, because that is something that you might want to add as a quote in your paper or the document that you write next. So over here, if you would have double coded it, like mostly they welcome me, and sometimes they don't. So you can double code it as most the ashas are welcomed, or the ashas are accepted by the community, but there are also times when they are not accepted. That can also be another code, because and we want to, since this is just one transcript, you may have the chance to go back to it again and again and again. But when you have larger number of transcripts, it will not be possible for you to do that. So you have overlapping codes throughout your transcripts, and these references or these labels that you assign as codes, like ashas are accepted, and there are also resistance. So this is an overarching code that you're assigning, which you might find throughout the range of transcripts that you will have. So we will talk about this in greater detail today in the rest of our session. So, Sandhya, in case you have anything to add.
No, I think you can scroll on and continue.
Yeah. So like over here, it's mostly done properly,
Shreya,
but
if I may interrupt, I think Deepika has a hand up. Do you want to take the questions or queries now, or we can have?
yeah, I think we can.
Okay, then Deepika, can you unmute yourself?
Yeah. So Shreya, I want to actually share my experience of coding this transcript. So I found it really difficult to actually color code it because there were many codes coming up as we go through the transcript, right? And so suppose there are 10 or 15 codes, right? But then those many colors has to be also there. So if we put those many colors, and as we move on, it's difficult to remember which actually code I gave for the yellow color or for the red color. So I found it really difficult as we move on. Is there an easy way to color code it? Because using a software is easier. You just put it in the codes and later it is managed. But then if we don't have a software and I have to do it on the Word document, is there an easy way to do that?
Can I come in here, Shreya?
Yes, please
Yeah,
go
so
ahead.
one way in which I do it is I write it as a comment, and I will
Hmm.
show it to you when Shreya finishes discussing this. So instead of color coding, I usually put a comment, and the code is in the comment. So when I see something similar and I say, I found this earlier, I just go back to check and see what language I have used, so that,
Hmm.
I'm using the same language, and then it is coded in as comments. So that is something that is possible to do. We
Okay. And
will
also,
also be
Sandhya,
showing you how to
yeah.
do it in a Word document
Hmm.
towards the end of this class.
So
Okay. And do
also,
we actually want have to give the color? Suppose if I open two
No, you
documents,
don't have to.
no,
You don't
no.
have to do it. You
Hmm.
can do it. You don't need to do it. It's coding is just about what sense you're making of the data. You do it as colors. You do it as comments. That is up
Hmm.
to you. And yes, you're right. If there are several kinds of documents to color code and remember all of them, can become difficult. But
Hmm.
if you are comfortable with it, certainly go ahead with it.
Okay.
so
Thank
I
you.
Arun,
wanted
you
to
have a
add a
question?
bit
Yeah.
to it. What's just Sandhya said, it is difficult to find, particular colors, but like you said, there is a way of just commenting on it. But then, the color or whatever code you assign, Deepika, I mean, that's the reason you have a code book. Like you don't always need to go back and check what you assigned and what you did not. So what color you assigned for what code, if you are using a color, using colors to code while you are coding in your Word document, you have a code book on the side which will direct you why, I mean, what exactly you coded with respect to that color or any specific codes that you have assigned for that larger group of things, if that makes sense. But yes, this gets much easier to manage if it's the software. And that's where we will also try to tell you more about. Yeah.
And I also think some participants have, put a little table at the end of their transcript where they have talked or they mentioned that this color means this.
Yeah.
So, for example, over here.
This is a very simplified code book. There needs to be more layers to this. We will explain that to you a bit more. I will also take the chance to show another code book.
Shreya, Maruf also has his hand up, so if you would like to take the question or query now.
Yeah, okay.
So,
Maru?
yeah, just a related thing to what Deepika was saying while I was doing, I mean, I faced the similar challenge what Deepika mentioned, but I was also like, at some point, I became worried about that I am ending up having too many quotes. So I was not sure whether that's the right thing or we try to have as minimum as possible. So at some point, I stopped myself that I don't want to put too many quotes.
Okay, so Maruf, when you code the first round of your first round on the transcript that you have, don't worry about the number of codes that it is generating. Just don't think about that. If you feel that every word means something distinct, and the I will stress on the word distinct. If every word, every sentence is pointing towards something very distinct, you assign a code. But if it's under the same ambit and more or less inferring the same thing, you will not code it, assign different codes to it. You will pull them under one code because you want to look at what that particular sentence or particular thing that the person said means, right? So if it is distinct, don't worry about the number of codes that the transcript is generating. You are going to assign distinct codes to all of these. But if it means essentially, like suppose you have one sentence and the next sentence is a follow-up of what the first sentence is, you are going to code that under the same code. So answering your question and your query and your the challenge that you had, don't worry about the number of codes it's generating. If it means something, you are supposed to put that in.
If I may just add exactly where this transcript is. Now, if you see this whole thing is not coded, which is yes, many, sometimes the family does not want to go to the PHC because it is far and there's no transport or the husband is away. We call the 108 ambulance, but it takes time. Also, when women migrate to their mother's place for delivery, our follow-up breaks, then we can't enter data properly and it affects our work performance. Now, in this has not been coded at all. But this can tell you two, three stories. One, it can tell you the challenges of institutional delivery. Why is it difficult for women to go and deliver in the institution? So you have two answers here. One, there's no transport, then there's no husband. So that becomes a challenge. But then there's also a solution that Yasha is giving in the next one, where she says she steps in that situation and she calls the 108 ambulance. But again, there's a challenge there because that ambulance takes time to come. And then she talks also about another challenge when women totally migrate, go to their mother's house to deliver, so that affects their work because then their follow up is no longer possible. And then it also affects the way in which data is entered into the app because the woman is not there, they don't know what has happened to her. Perhaps she's gone off in her seventh month or eighth month. So the continuity starting from the first month of pregnancy till the childbirth, that breaks. So there are several codes that can come up from this one paragraph or this one answer of the which has not been coded at all. And this is what we would want to avoid. So Maru, Better to have three codes than have no codes and miss out this entire story which is there.
Thanks,
So
got it.
again, when you are looking at the transcript, don't think about if this is relevant for you or not. Just have in mind the research objectives you have. The first round, you're not supposed to think if this is going to be important for your work or not, unless the woman talks about that my sister just got married, which is nothing to do. If it's a health related objective, it probably might does not completely link, or we actually don't know if it does get linked up somewhere. So, there is still a question mark if one thing, if a person who you have interviewed has mentioned, you really don't know until you have a larger picture if that thing that the person has said is relevant or not. So that is the particular reason you don't want to miss out on something which is very relevant, which you might find out much later, and you leave it out in the beginning. So this is not a way you would be coding, because see, here is this entire paragraph, and only the first part is coded, and the person gives an example that last week the app showed a red alert. This is talking about the app. So you have to code these things, these examples, and break it down and assign codes to it. So unless you have any more questions, I will quickly go down and show the rigor that you can put into your code book. So this is a fairly good code book where the person assigns a code, has assigned a color. It's like Sandhya said, it is something that you can choose. You might want to just add a comment if you're working in Word, or assign colors, but assigning colors can be a bit tricky because you don't have as many. We understand that. A description over here. The second code book we would like to show is this one. If you can see how detailed the code book is, the person has given a category, and I mean we wanted you to open code this, but the person has also assigned themes to it, which is great. You have codes over here, you have assigned descriptions, and also the adding the codes might be helpful, but it's not absolutely necessary for you to add. So this is done in a very in-depth and with rigor. And if I go down, see the number of codes, Maruf, it does not matter for that one transcript. So this shows that you have looked into the transcript and you have a very in-depth understanding of what the transcript is. So there is another one pretty close over here. The person has assigned codes, assigned colors, and also assigned categories to it. Does this give you a little bit of an idea? Because, you need to, when you are open coding, when you are starting to code, you need to put that rigor. So that is the key thing. And you need to find out what are the distinct meanings and the labels that you can generate from that transcript. So are there any questions from anyone?
I don't see any, Ashriya, right now.
There's just one thing. Somebody had done a coding in an Excel sheet. This is the one.
Yeah, this one.
And there was
Transcript.
no transcript, So while you have given the code, you've given the category, and just little bit scroll up, so we see that, yeah. And the theme, where is the transcript to tell you how
So
you arrived at this? If you remember, in the initial class, what did we say? We say when we do qualitative data coding, it must be done in such a way that anybody else who's seeing that is able to understand where you have arrived at this. Now, if I just see this and see experience, education, background, and I don't know which is the code, so how will I know that, this is correct, this code is correct? Because there is no sentence to support the code. So it is extremely critical in coding that we don't jump to making a code book. This is a code book, okay, the start of a code book, without identifying the codes that are justifying your selection of this. Like if you give this to me and I will say, okay, how do I know whether this is experience? I don't have any sentence to tell me that it is experience. So it's critical that you have those sentences, you have those pieces of the transcript in there so that you're able to prove that, yes, I have said experience because this is the sentence. And for me, this sentence points to experience. Now, when Shreya looks at it, she might say, this is experience, but I see some other story also in it. I also see qualification. She can say that because there is a sentence which she can, look at and come up with a different understanding or a richer code set. So it's essential to have the sentences from the transcript. Otherwise, for somebody else to replicate or even understand what you're doing will not happen. Okay? Shreya, you want to add anything?
No, perfect, Sandhya.
So maybe we should
So,
move to demonstrative. If this is
yeah,
that.
I will share the newer versions. Yeah. Sandhya, if you want to.
Yeah, so we thought, although this will become useful, you will see why we did this. So we also fabricated 2 more interviews. One is with a PhD doctor, and one is with a pregnant woman. As you can see here, I did not use color coding. I just put sentence comments. So what we did is that we tried to do not the whole transcript, but bits and pieces of it. And then I have written down here, like for example, I think that, so this is a doctor saying that Asha is the first point of contact for most women in the village. So I thought this is kind of, it talks about Asha's perception. It also talks about the perception of Asha's relationship with the community. So this is a perception that the doctor has. The doctor thinks that the Asha is the first point of contact for the women in the village. If you go to the next one, can you just click on the next comment? This is where the doctor is describing the Asha's role or the services that the Asha renders. So I put that as a second comment. Now in the third one, can you just go to the third one, please? Now I feel the third one is about the importance of the Asha, so the doctor's perception of why the Asha is important. So we did this for a doctor. And can you show the other transcript where we also created another transcript for pregnant women and what a pregnant woman thinks of the Asha. And if you go back up above, then you will see that there are 3 things. Let's focus on the one which is on perception of the Asha, if we have that there. Yes. So here again, the respondent is saying that she mainly guides us during pregnancy. So she tells us what to eat. She tells us, to take the iron tablet, to go for checkup. She explains about government schemes. She takes us for delivery, and she helps us in every step. So here I've said one thing is about the perception of the Asha, and this she helps us at every step. I have double coded this. So this double code, if you just click on that she helps us in every step, is actually Asha being a constant support system. So you can see that within this one sentence, this particular thing has been double coded. And we will come back to this to explain why we've done this, because in NVivo, what we've done is we've tried to use 3 transcripts so that it's a little bit more, you'll get an idea of why we are saying coding is so important and how, across different transcripts, you will find similar kinds of codes that will help you to make meaning. So if you want to add anything else, Shreya, you could do that. Otherwise, we can go to a demo of the NVivo.
Yeah, so Sandhya, also, if you want to show them what this.
Oh, I thought let's do the NVivo first and then we can come to
Okay,
this.
all
Yeah.
right. So if you guys can see my screen.
Before we continue, I'm hoping you all saw both the videos that we shared, both the NVivo videos. Yes, no? Can I have some responses, please?
Maybe you can
There
type
were
in the
2
chat
videos that were shared. Did anyone see it?
You can type your responses in the chat as well.
Yes, okay. Did anyone have trouble understanding the videos? should I assume that out of this entire class, only one person has seen it? Okay, then you will have a little trouble understanding what Shreya is going to be doing now, because we assume that you will come prepared and you will see the two videos. We thought watching video is easier than reading, but apparently it seems it's not. So Shreya, you might want to start from the beginning
Yeah.
so that they are able to understand. Okay, so we'll start from the beginning.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is, I had this open. I'm going to close it down and I'm going to start from the very start. Okay. You open NVivo. Please give this a few seconds. It takes time. So over here, if you are, if you want to have a new project, you click onto new project and you give a project title. So I have already created a new project. You can see on your left-hand side, it is written as Ashas and their roles. So this is how I create, and you write the title of the project and then you click next, and your new project is created. So I will not do that because I have already created one. I'll go back and I'll open that. So now you have this project over here. If you ever have a chance to go back and look at the video, they will show you how to import, but that is not necessary. There is an easy way out, is you copy these files, drag and drop it here, and your files will be added. So it is taking, I have a same transcript, which has the same name. So it has taken in as number 2. So this is the easiest way. If you don't want to go that way, you can go check the video. They will ask you to import the file, which I don't think you need to do because this is much easier, just dragging and dropping. So now that you have all your files over here, what you want to do is you want to start coding. So I open this transcript. And here you can see the whole transcript is visible to you. In the left side, you have the list of files, but you want codes, right? You don't want just the files and you want to start coding. So on the left-hand side over here in the red, options panel or the handle, whatever you may call it, you have this option called codes and you click on that. So like you can see over here, I have already generated few of the codes and you can see them. So what you do to generate a code is, for example, I want to code this bit of the transcript. Suppose, thank you, doctor, for taking the time. This is the interviewer. So you want to go into this area where the codes are. You want to right click on it, and this dialog box will open. And you can see an option called generating a new code over here, new code. You click that, and it takes you to this larger dialog box where you can enter the name of the code or whatever code you want to assign. So I will write as thanking the doctor. So, and I enter OK. You can see the code has been generated. So what I'm going to do next is I highlight this, what I want, pieces from the transcripts that I want to put under this code. I highlight it, I drag it, and I put it over here. See, you will find the code under this.
So earlier, if you notice, file was 0, reference was 0. Then when she dragged it and dropped it, the file and reference both became 1. So
So
this, yeah, sorry, continue.
please go ahead, Sandhya.
No, so I'm saying through this method, you can, this file tells you the number of transcripts that, have been assigned or codes under this, the number of transcripts from which we have drawn codes. And the references is a number of codes that you've taken from a particular transcript and put into this one. So that gives you an idea of, okay, we are moving, new things are happening, and the numbers are increasing. Sometimes NVivo tends to, the connection, because it's on a server, tends to break and you don't realize it. So you should be cognizant that the number, the references or the file number are changing each time you're dragging and dropping something there. If it's not, then you must check your connection. Otherwise, you will do a lot of coding and you will not realize that none of it has been saved. Shreya, you want to add to this?
Yeah, no, I mean, nothing in particular to this. But there is also another way you can code this is that is the, longer way. You can right click after selecting and you can go for code selection, or you can code into one of the recent codes, which is thanking the doctor. It just shows it to you. Suppose you have mistakenly coded something and you don't want to keep it that way, or you want to change that code. You right click and you uncode it. Sorry. You have uncoded it. So it says uncode from recent codes. Okay. And if you want to code it, just drag and drop or right click and assign a code. Select a code and assign a code, if that's clear. So one more thing that I wanted to tell you, as Deepika pointed out, why we use this qualitative software is to be able to manage the codes, the transcripts, and the code book in a better manner. She found a very pertinent challenge in assigning, particular colors to it, or also, as you saw the transcript that Sandhya showed, there were many codes on the site. So there are many codes which are assigned to more than 2 or 3, narrations. So you have to go back and forth again and again to figure out what has been done. So the software over here comes handy in managing that issue. Suppose over here, you can see there are 2 references that I have coded under this one code. All right. You can see the number over here. You won't have to go back and forth to see the code, what has been coded. You are able to just see it right away. So that is one of the challenges. So also what I want to stress is, fundamentally, what we have been talking about, how to code, is not going to change when you are coding it in a software. The software is only to help you manage that code. And like, again, Deepika and most of you might have, faced that challenge of managing the code while you are doing it in a Word. That is the only bit that a qualitative software like NVivo is going to help you manage. But fundamentally, conceptually, the codes that you assign is going to be the same as you coded when it was in Microsoft Word or in pen and paper, in whatever manner you do. The basics are going to be the same. Sandhya, do you want to add?
Yeah, so people often think that NVivo will help you to analyze. It will not. It just helps you to make the coding easier. But generating the codes is your job. It's not NVivo's job. Whatever code you generate and put into NVivo is up there for you to use. And this way, this is one way in which you can do it. Another way also in which you can do it is make the codes offline. So you make it in an Excel sheet or a Word document or whatever, and then one by one you enter it over here. That is also possible. And that is good to do, especially when you're working with a group, a team. So let's say there are 2 or 3 people who are working on the same project. Then it becomes very difficult if you try and do coding this way. Better than that is that you read the transcripts offline. You generate codes after reading 2 to 3 transcripts. Then, so everyone reads 2 to 3 different transcripts. Then you come together, have a discussion, finalize the codes. And then those codes you put in over here. So you import them or you enter them manually without pulling them from a transcript or reading the transcript online in the system. This helps because it becomes easier. Everyone knows that, okay, these are the codes and these are what we are working with. Having said that, you might still come up with codes that you did not, see earlier in the transcripts that you read. Because let's say there are 50 transcripts and between 4 people, we read, let's say 10. There are still another 40 which we didn't touch. And there might be new codes that emerge, in which case you can always create the new code the way Shreya has shown it to you. Just make sure that everyone in your team knows that a new code has been added so that if they come across something which matches that code, they put it into that rather than creating a separate code. Please do go and see the videos because the videos explain about trees, like a big code might have subcodes. So that video really explains how that can be done. And here Shreya can also show it to you, but it shows it in a very good manner, in a great way. Like you can have a main code and then under that you can have 2. So for example, we were talking about that example of the community's perception of Asha. And we saw that there was one positive perception, one negative perception. So you can have community perception of Asha, and under that you can have positive, and then you can have another one called negative. So that is explained in the previous in the videos. But Shreya, maybe you can just demonstrate. Yeah, you'll have to demonstrate because we've not seen anything.
Yeah. So over here, what you can see is, is it visible to you all? You can see over here that this is the larger code, which is called the perception of perception of Asha's efficiency. And we have, sorry for the spelling mistake. So in the next code, under that, we have assigned, just a moment. Yeah, perception of Asha's efficiency, which is barriers that affect their performance. Okay, and the next one we have perception of Asha's efficiency, which is positive. Now, to create this tree, so you see that the perception of the Asha's efficiency comes under, both positive and negative comes under that larger perception, right? But you need to break, it's easier and it's better if you break it down into positives and barriers, and it's easier for you to go back to these codes later. So what you do is, to do this is right click, create a new code. Suppose I write it as perception of Asha's and efficiency. And I create this code. The other thing is NVivo alphabetically orders the codes, which is not great all the time, but it is what it is. Now, this is the larger code that you have. And to create a tree or a subcode,